Hey, what's going on here? I got a step ladder here. I got my construction light out. Oh, I've got a new light fixture I'm getting ready to install. But before I install that, I've got to install a cut-in box up here. See, this is how the old, when I took down the old light fixture, this is what I got. See that big hole there in the wall? There's no junction box back in there. Whoever installed it initially 15 years ago, they cut a big old hole and fished the wire out, and then they had to install the light fixture housing with plastic anchors and all that kind of stuff. When I took that old light fixture down, that's what I had, just like that. And by code, you're supposed to have it in a junction box, and I thought, what to do? And kaboom. These are cut-in boxes. Let's take a look at these for a minute. Before I install them, I'm just going to install one, but I wanted to show you. They've got different ones at the store, of course. This is the kind that they used to have for years. The only type of cut-in was something like this. You would cut the hole a little bit smaller than your outside edge, and then you would see the screws on the back side of that screw this in. Well, you want to give it some slop like that, and then as you're pushing it in, you kind of depress this a little bit with your fingers, and then as you're pushing it in, this will push in through the sheetrock, and then it's supposed to pop out on the outside of the back side of the sheetrock. Like that, see, as it goes out like that. Okay, then you tighten up the screws, boink, and then that holds the front. Okay, well, I'm not going to use that kind. I saw this one at the store, and it's got these little flaps, like here, see? It's like a, if you've ever had to install any electrical cut-in single gang junction boxes for an electrical outlet and stuff, they're like this, and they have the little wing nuts for 2-gang light switches, 3-gang light switches. I've even seen 4-gang light switches with these, and there's 3 of them here, see? 3 of them like that. You cut your hole a little bit smaller than the flange here, and there's not much room. Look at that. There's only about a 1/16 of an inch. See there? I gotta be real careful, and I can't really mark it and stuff. I'll show you. And then these are pushed down like that as you push it in the wall, and then you take your screwdriver, and as you first get ready to tighten it up, it raises that up. See? Doink. Now it won't go any further than that, so now as you start tightening this with your screwdriver, it starts drawing this in towards the back side. Now this is designed for, oh, I don't know how far that is, 3/4 of an inch. Oh, there's 7/8, and you could even loosen it a little bit more and go a little bit further in case you have 2 layers of 1/2-inch sheetrock. Sometimes tenant separation walls might be 2 layers of 1/2-inch sheetrock. And did you know you can get sheetrock 1 inch thick? Yeah, or you can put 2 layers of 5/8 sheetrock together. You know, if you're using it for a sound wall, firewall, whatever. Okay, so those come out, and then it draws it in, and these are on. They're kind of strong, and they're kind of cool. They're not attached up here. They used to be attached there, and you'd have to break it with your screwdriver and stuff. But as you push on it, it deflects a little bit. See? And I used to pull these out. Like, I've only got 1 wire up there. I would push this in and grab my pliers and take it and twist it out. Then it leaves a hole, and then your wire isn't in there nice and tight. It'll still slip out of the back side of the box into your wall, and you want all of your sheathing of your Romex cabling sheathing going through here, okay? And then that's going to hold tight to that, and then you'll have your other wire in here, and then you can do whatever. So see, I'm gonna have to depress this a little bit. It's kind of stiff. I might take my screwdriver on it and push on it a little bit here. I can just gently push on it a little bit, you know, just to give it a little more oomph. And then I can go through it, okay? So then I can figure out which one. So you push your wire up through there, screw it in there. So if that's what you want to watch, that's my video that I'm going to be making. And it might be a video series. I don't know how long it's going to take me to put that in. It shouldn't take me too long. But you remember the hole that I've got up there? See? So because I've already got a hole, I can't really measure with the tape measure up there and make a circle or anything. And see how far my wires stick out of the wall. And granted, there is Romex cabling. See how the Romex cabling comes out a little bit out of the back side. Well, I want about this much of it sticking in through the back of that box, and then the spring tension will hold it. And then with all this wire here, I can fish it all back in the junction box, or I can cut those wires off and get ready to install my light fixture. Okay, so this video is just about how to install a cut-in light fixture junction box. I won't be showing you how to install a light fixture. If you want to watch that, it'll be on my channel under the electrical. You go to playlists, go to my main YouTube channel, and then you'll click on playlists, and then you'll scroll down to electrical know-how or everything electrical or something like that, and all the electrical videos I've ever done on my YouTube channel will all be there. You can scroll down to the ones that you want to see. Okay, that's how that'll work, but that's going to be coming up on the next video series. So hey, stick around. If you've never installed one of these, it might help you out by watching this video series. I'm already out of breath. I'm not as young as I used to, my word. Hey, so I forgot to tell you, before you get up there, what I like to do on these is I like to flop that out. Screw this in with your Phillips screwdriver first, and then loosen it back and draw it back all the way. That way it makes this screw easier to go in and out. Sometimes it's really hard. You get everything done and you think, oh, I'll just push this in there and flop these up with your screwdriver, start tightening these up. You might think, man, this screw is hard to go. And it might be because this is cross-threaded, or it's just hard, and this might be flopping over a little bit or something. And you might think, okay, how far do I have to screw this before it gets tight? You know? And so just do your homework, check it out. Now, you can't screw this in too far because there's a little catch in there. If you screw this in, if you think, oh, the wall's only 5/8 or 1/2 inch, I'll screw this in till a long 1/2 inch, and then I'll flop it back. Well, you can't really flop it all the way back because the screw has to be out all the way for this to fold down flat. If you screw it in, then it's going to be up like that. You won't be able to get it down all the way because the screw's going to be coming up at a wonky angle. You see what I mean? And so I've already done that to all these, and I'm good to go. Now the next thing is, how am I going to mark that hole? Because there's already a hole up there. I'll show you. Now you remember on this, look at that. I've hardly got any gap here. 1/16 maybe. A 1/16 around the edges. Okay. And so that gives me an idea of what to do here. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, first thing I want to do is make sure my power's off. I got my light switch here, it's off. If you feel more comfortable, you can turn it off at your breaker, let's say. And remember, this wire is just loose in there. And I don't know why they cut the hole in there to begin with. I just don't know. And so I've got the wire nuts on here. They're kind of snug. I want to make sure those are on there. I've got the power off. And I'm going to leave the wire nuts on for right now. I mean, I could take them off if I want. Okay. But I'm just going to kind of shove this into the wall a little bit. Like that. Okay. Now I can hold this up here. And the one thing, you didn't see it before, but there's a mirror that fits on here. It's an oval or an oblong shaped mirror. And I want to keep this light fixture up as high as possible. So when I put this on here, I don't want to go any, this flange will be below that just a bit. But I don't want it to go down so far. Well, I say that, but I've got to look at this this wall here. It kind of feels like it dips in right there. You know what? It looks like, well, I think I'll be all right. I think I'll be all right. It looks like they had the old light fixture on here, and then somebody later on did some patchwork in here, and they left the light fixture on. They put sheetrock mud around here. I can feel just a hair, slight indentation there. Not too bad, but I got to keep that in mind. And they made this this bathroom 5/8 sheetrock. I thought that was kind of nice because most walls are only 1/2 inch. And I see where there's some plastic anchors were installed from before, but and so this is pretty much centered over the sink. I'm going to measure the sink is 16 inches to the spout, and I've got 16 inches over right there. That's pretty much centered. If anything, it could be slid over that way. Oh, a smidge. Okay, and my new light fixture, whenever you have something small like that, you want to get a light fixture maybe 18 inches, 20 inches. I think the old one that I had up here initially, after I took this old one down, this old one was just right here and then had 2 heads coming out. Then I got one that it was about 16 inches long, and we didn't like that one, so now we're going with another one. It's 20 1/4. So if I go 10 inches or so, 10 1/8 to the center, that's going to be fine for this sink. Last thing you want for a small sink with a small vanity, which this one's like 32 inches long, is you don't want to get something too long here and too overpowering on all that. So, okay, so I know the center of that is slightly that way a little bit. And I'm just going to put a line up there. And I want to hold that down below that just a hair, and I've got to make sure that the other hole here fits in here, which it does. Okay, and I'm going to get it up as high as I can, and I know where the center is here and all that. Okay, and now right there I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to mark the outside, but I got to be careful. I got to remember not to cut that pencil marks, right? Or else this thing's going to go right into the wall. That's the last thing we want. I'm just making little lines. I guess it doesn't really matter, okay? That's where my hole's going to be for my cut-in box. But like I say, I've got to be a 1/16 inch in all the way around. I might as well put my lines there to remind me now, right? Because if I don't, I could mess myself up. I had a Formica guy one time. He was cutting a sink out, a stainless steel sink out for me on a countertop. He had just made the countertop. He brought the countertop in and everything. He put the marks, and then he was going to cut it, to the inside of those lines. He was rushing, and what do you suppose he did? He cut it right on his lines, and the whole thing dropped right in. I had tenants, they were going to be moving in really soon. It was a commercial job. He had to go home and make another one and work all night to come back the next day. And oh, it was a mess, but at least he stuck with it and got it done. If I cut this, and if that went all the way through, I'd be in a real bunch of hurt, wouldn't I? And so now, if I measure this whole thing, I got 4 3/8 almost. So a 1/16 all the way. I should be about 4 3/16. This is 4 5/16. Okay, overall. So 4 3/16 to my new lines. And see, I'm at about 4 1/8. And that's going to be just a hair too tight. But what I could remember is I could cut that right on the line. You know what I mean? Right in the middle of the line, it should be fine. If I have to do some trimming later, I will. I'd rather trim and shave off just a hair, right? Than have it be too big. And you know, the other thing I can check is I can put my screwdriver in there. I want to make sure that there's no stud right next to me, and there's not. And I can check everything above and below, the holes and stuff. Okay, and I should be fine, good to go. And that's the other thing with this. With the type of cut-in box I'm using, you could put that right up against a stud, because I've got 3 flanges that are going to come out, and so if that was up close, I just wouldn't put the flange next to there. I would just swivel it a little bit. Whereas the other cut-in box, well, I guess I could do that with the other type of cut-in box, but this is the one I'm going to use. And where my lines are straight across after I put it in, do I have to have them straight across? I'll try to make them straight across if I can, but it shouldn't really matter if you got these at an angle or however you have them. Usually your mounting brackets for your light fixtures will have lines on it so that you can line that up exactly where you want it. Worst case scenario, if I have this and if I need to slide it, when I get ready to put my light fixture in, I can just loosen up the screws just a little bit, twizzle that wherever I want it, right? Retighten that down. I could do that too. Okay, so now I just get that out of my way to make sure I don't cut that. And now I'm going to cut that out. And if you have a Sawzall or something like that, do not use that for that. You know, I'm just going to use this old standard little sheetrock saw. This thing is older than the hills, but that's what you want. These don't need to be that sharp. Okay, you're only going through sheetrock. This thing is probably, oh, I don't know, maybe 20 years old. And that will work just fine, cutting that out. Because here's the thing, had you not had a hole that big and you wanted to cut something out, and if you zip it out with a Sawzall, and maybe there's another wire up there you didn't know about, or a plumbing pipe, or a gas line, or a vent, or something of that nature, then all of a sudden it makes it difficult, because you're going to zip something off without even knowing it. If this wasn't even a hole, if I was doing this from scratch and I'm figuring out exactly where I want the hole, I would just cut a very small hole. First make sure, you know, tap on here, make sure I'm in a hollow area. Cut a small hole, maybe 1 inch in diameter or a square with my sheetrock knife. Then I would take a little wire and push it in through there all the way around and make sure nothing's in my way for this. And I would still cut it out with a little hand sheetrock saw. Okay, that's our next step. See, you can do this.